Advancing Rights and Opportunities to Education for Vulnerable Children, Aroc, is a project implemented by Uganda Women's Effort to Save Orphans, Uweso. The project has been operating in Isingiro and Barara districts for the last 2 years with support from the United Arab Emirates. The project area is gifted with rich natural resource endowment and beautiful landscape environment scenery that include Lake Nachivale. Isingiro and Barara districts make a significant contribution to the main food basket for banana and dairy milk products largely consumed in western and central region of Uganda.
During the last 29 years of its existence, Uweso has improved considerably and evolved into a broad-based child rights organization, and we are addressing the needs of orphans and vulnerable children nationally at the moment. Our vision as Uweso is a society where all children live a full life, and this is accomplished through a holistic package of interventions that we undertake to empower communities to meet the social, moral, and economic needs of vulnerable children and in a sustainable manner. The project goal has been to reduce vulnerability among the refugees and the street children in Uganda, but also we were aiming at reducing vulnerability of these children that have limited access to education because of their socioeconomic conditions, caused partly by their migrant nature and their refugee status.
The Aroc project aims at reducing vulnerability among children who have limited access to education because of their socioeconomic conditions, partly caused by their migrant nature and refugee status. Children in both refugee households and host communities are being targeted by this project. The project's center of focus is about children, and they are predominantly women caregivers from refugee and host communities.
We are implementing Aroc project under 2 objectives. The first objective is that by the end of 2019, we should be able to have reached 22,500 women, and to ensure that by the end of 2019, they have boosted their household incomes by 20% to be able to educate their children. And objective number 2 is it increase access to quality basic education, where 4,500 children from refugee and host communities would be supported.
The project is operating in both Nachivale and Oruchinga refugee settlements in Isingiro district.
The settlement covers a total land area of 8.3 kilometers squared. And we have a population of 7,641 individual refugees. And these are from Congo, DRC, Rwanda, and Burundi. Of course, we receive and settle refugees on pieces of land for both construction and a little cultivation. Hosting refugees comes with some burdens as well. You fight for resources, especially the social services that are available. So as government, I think they came up with that principle of 70-30, such that we don't leave out the host community. But also there are other interventions that are actually targeting host communities. Everywhere in Uganda, each district that has refugees, there is some funding from World Bank through what we call the Dr. D project to improve on the social services delivery, like schools, hospitals, and the like, even roads, especially infrastructure.
Justin Gonza is the commandant of Rubondo Sub-Base Camp, which is an extended zone of Nachivale refugee settlement. She shares the plight of the refugees, particularly the girl children and the caregivers.
We have over 35,000 refugees found in Rubondo. The number of women is higher than what? The number of men. Then even the number of children multiplies that of women and men. Because you find out that most women, because they marry when they are young or they've not gone at school, they begin producing at a very young age, at 16. So a person is clocking 25 when he has about 6 or 7 children. And so she still have a long way to go, and they don't believe into family planning. So you find they're having very many children who sometimes are malnourished or are not catered for, so it becomes quite hard. Yeah, about that. Then you find that most men, they believe into staying into their home country, not joining not coming to another country. So most women are single mothers who are taking care of about 8 to 6 children.
In response to the established needs of the community, Uweso, through the Aroc project, is supporting vulnerable children to enable them stay in school and ensure that they complete school. With respect to education support, vulnerable children, especially girls, are provided with scholastic materials and sanitary facilities. This is Bora Chizanye, a refugee from the Democratic Republic of Congo. She is one of the beneficiaries of the Aroc project.
My name
is Bora Chizanye. I hail from Rurongo B village of Oruchinga refugee settlement. I'm 17 years. Initially, I was supported by Uweso. They gave me this bag, books and other essential basic requirements. Through the support provided by Uweso, I stayed in school. Luckily, because Uweso support gave me some good foundation,
I
have now managed to link up with support from another child rights focused agency known as Child Holland, so that I complete primary level education. Alan Nagasha is aged 15 years. She is currently completing her final year as a primary student at Mbalala Mixed Primary School. She shares the challenges she encountered before she was supported, as well as her school life transition after receiving support by the Aroc project. I suffered from lack of scholastic materials that include lack of books, pens and pencils. My books would get wet and I would not be able to write my classwork, especially during the rainy season. If I decided to leave them in the classroom, I would lose some of the books. Each time my teachers would enter the class, they would find me in a very disorganized situation. Thanks to Uweso and Aroc project, the project has supported me with books, pens, pencils, pads, and a school bag. Now that I readily utilize pads provided by the Aroc project, I do not fear staining my uniform during menstruation. They provide us with enough pads, and usually I utilize only 1 pad per day. Ramurunga Community Secondary School is among the beneficiaries of the Aroc project.
I'm grateful with the intervention of Uweso because it has helped to provide scholastic materials to the needy students and sanitary pads to our girls. They have again gone ahead to provide safe water. Like they gave us a tank on the girls' wing. Providing like sanitary materials to girls has made them keep in school. That's one, because at least in case of any problem, they know they have that assistance. The scholastic materials that are being given to the selected students help them to continue with education. At least when you go to class, you see them writing because they have books. Those who have been affected by weather, rain beating them with the books in the hands, have been given bags. And they are able now to carry their materials in the bags and very okay. So I can see most of them are very cheerful. They are happy with the activities of Uweso And now, for example, the issue of water, girls carrying water from a long distance, now that it is around their dormitory, they are okay. And the institution, we are also safe because girls are within their compound, getting water from nearby, and therefore they are not affected by any other challenges.
Maxensia Ahereza, a Senior 4 candidate at Ramurunga Community Secondary School, commends Uweso for supporting vulnerable children and more especially the girl child by providing them with sanitary materials.
Heads have helped us to keep ourselves safe. Some of us would use piece of clothes to pad ourselves, but at least now the pads help us to keep safe, to feel comfortable in the society when we're putting them on. So because they have them, they're going to keep in school. We're going to keep in school because they're having pads that make us feel comfortable and make us feel we fit in the society.
The respective formal and informal organization structures established or utilized by Uweso right from the community, sub-county and district level have been very supportive for implementation of the Aroc project. We monitor project activities to find out whether the intended work is conducted rightfully. When we find gaps or anomalies in project activities, we conduct meetings and come up with solutions to address the challenges. At the community level, child protection committees have been established. As a CPC, our responsibility is to protect children from abuse, especially those that are not attending school. When we find children who are sick, we take them to health centers and make sure that they get treatment. There are also cases of children who suffer from domestic violence perpetuated by their stepmothers. We make intervention and support such children to get justice. Indeed, there is positive change. The children whose parents we have reached to have changed their bad attitude towards children. Child battering and torture has reduced. Parents now ensure they send their children to school. Some parents also provide sanitary pads as well as packing some food and drinks for their children. At sub-county and district levels, the Aroc project has tapped into the existing local government structure and actively engaged the leadership, soliciting for their support and effective participation in the project intervention.
We have actually participated. Some projects come, some programs come, but they don't involve local leaders. Yet it's the local leaders who know where the problems are, where the challenges are. But for this Aroc, we thank them because they have been using us. We thank them for the skills they have given to our children. We thank them for the other projects that they have given us because they had touched the lives of people. Because we have so many children, the dropouts, school dropouts, and they have nothing to do. If this project can continue, it can help those children acquire some skills, which skills will help them sustain themselves in the future, now and in the future.
Personally, as a district councillor, my involvement in the project has been mobilizing the community, mobilizing the groups, the women groups, the youth groups, especially the vulnerable children in those communities. Aroc project has transformed Kashumba sub-county, especially in those hard-to-reach areas. Places like Nyakabingo, the women never knew how to save their monies. The little that they earn, they have just been spending it anyhow. But now people have been transformed on how to save their monies.
Before Aroc project intervention, the community, particularly in Isingiro district, suffered critical water shortage. This state of affair had serious implications on their lives. Our community members used to collect water from distant places of over 3 miles, and most of our landscape here is hilly, making water collection more challenging. It is even more challenging for aging people like me.
Our community is lacking water because we are in the hilly areas, and they also collect water from a distant area. because from here to where you can fetch water is like 6 kilometers. So in that transition, our parents and our children, they get in problems in the way, and still it also creates domestic violence. We thank United Arab Emirates and Uweso at large for supporting Muslims, especially Muslims of Chabambura, Twali.
Tunafurahi sana kuangalia msaada kama na huu.
We are very happy for this water facility support from Uweso. This is great for our community. At a time when we did not expect any support, to our surprise, Uweso brought this water tank. Uweso staff had earlier on visited us and asked us about our pressing need. We informed them that we had a problem of water shortage. The majority of people living here are refugees that came to Uganda in 2008. We used to collect our water from the lake at a distance of about 5 kilometers. We indeed suffered. Although this water tank is not sufficient for all users, it provides relief and gradually minimizing the water shortage problem.
Jamaa karibu 400 ndani ya mugini huyu.
This water tank serves about 400 households.
Besides water tanks constructed at places of worship, individual community volunteers offered space for construction of water tanks adjacent to their households. Before we were provided with these water tanks, the lives of our children were at risk. After school, they would go to fetch water during late evening and night hour at times. We would be forced to follow up on them to ensure that they are protected from harmful people. We are so happy that our children are now safe and find enough time to read their books. I do not monopolize the use of this water tank. Ideally, this water tank serves up to 30 households in this community. We are extremely happy and living a better life. We use this water for washing, drinking, after boiling, among others. The project is progressively promoting and supporting livelihood empowerment through village savings and loans associations, VSLAs.
Nataka kushukuru kwanza gisi Uweso ilikika tusaidie katufundisha kuweka.
We thank Uweso for training us about managing savings and loans associations. Our group comprises of 30 members, that is 17 women and 15 men. We have tremendously benefited from our VSLA. Whenever we get demands, we are able to meet the expenses. We also ably pay school fees for children. Through Uweso and our village and loans association in particular, we have ably managed to pay school fees for our children. We buy books and even food.
Tumefungulikana sana, tumepata ndani ya kikundi, unajikopesha pesa, unauza mbuzi.
We have benefited in a number of ways. For example, one can get a loan to buy a goat or constructing a household shelter. We can also use the loans to learn tailoring.
We train people how to save. We train people also financial literacy, how to deal with the little income they have, how to budget for that income.
This is Biafra Bakazikweli in the Village Saving and Loans Association. Today is their meeting day. We make a variety of handcrafts. This is the main business for our group. We sell the handcraft products and earn good income. We add the income derived from the sale of handcrafts to our saving pool. Eventually, we share our savings. We can now ably pay school fees for our children. It is no longer a problem. We can even afford putting on decent clothes. We do hairdressing, and indeed, our members look very nice.
No.
We can no longer sleep hungry since we are able to earn some income from our savings group. We are also able to support our husbands by meeting some of the family requirements. The project has had profound impact. It has touched and changed many lives in Isingiro and Barara district. As a result, the project has been uploaded by both the implementing and other partner agencies that among others include the central government, Office of the Prime Minister and the district leadership.
There is improved service delivery. There is improved livelihoods of the different families who participate in these various activities. Most of the WASH interventions that they have brought have targeted especially community centers, like schools, like us here at base camp, like community centers in the different villages, to add or to supplement on the available water that is provided by the UN agents. And this has come on, it is demand driven. The community comes and says, we have this and this gap, please support us.
It would be very difficult for the district to extend water services, but the Uweso has supported us, and they have provided communities with tanks, and actually as a district we have benefited a lot, because that part would be very difficult for us because it would be very costly.
Sustainability of the intervention is very significant and will largely depend on ownership of the project activities by the respective stakeholders and the beneficiaries.
I would like to thank the United Arab Emirates for their support towards this project and enabling us to reach out to orphans and vulnerable children that have been affected by their migrant and refugee status.
Uganda women's effort to save orphans. Uweso, we are destined to be.